South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma has begun serving a 15-month prison sentence for contempt of court after handing himself in to police. He was given the sentence last week but had attempted to evade arrest pending legal appeals. In the early hours of Thursday, though, a convoy of vehicles believed to be carrying the ex-president left his compound shortly before a deadline to turn himself in expired. Prison authorities say Zuma is now in a correctional centre in his home province. His contempt of court charge was for failing to show up to a corruption inquiry. He's been accused of corrupt behaviour during his time in public life. I'm joined now by DW correspondent Christine Mundwa in Durban. Christine, Zuma is now behind bars. That comes as quite a surprise, seeing as he had refused to turn himself in and tried to suspend his arrest order using all available legal channels.
That's right. We even saw a last-ditch attempt writing a letter to the court that gave him the sentence, asking them to have him not go to prison. But the walls were closing in on him because yesterday we could already see a massive police contingency amassing about a 40-kilometre drive away from his home. That's the nearest big town. It was pretty clear that they were moving in to carry out the arrest order. As we understand it, the former president was given two options. The police will come in and arrest you, and of course that comes with loads of humiliation, or you can hand himself over. So shortly after 11 p.m. On Wednesday night, we saw a convoy racing out of his compound. Minutes after that, it was confirmed that that was him indeed taking off to escort prison to hand himself in. So that much came as a surprise because people were expecting some kind of a standoff, given the defiant talk that he had expressed on Sunday when he addressed his supporters as well as the media. But what we know is he has spent his first few hours at that correctional facility. It is a relatively new one, as we understand it, and he is going to be among 500 inmates there. He's considered to be a low-risk inmate because of his age, so he will be given a single cell, and of course his medical needs attended to as well.
How likely do you think it is that his sentence will be overturned?
Well, that's the interesting thing right now, because local press are already asking all kinds of political analysts in this country about whether or not the president will afford Mr. Zuma a pardon, because that is looking like the only way out of jail for the minute. The court that he had applied to was going to hand down its ruling tomorrow morning on Friday to see whether it was going to, of course, stop the police from arresting him. It doesn't appear that that court will do that now, especially because he's handed himself in. So at the minute, it does look like he is going to remain behind bars unless President Cyril Ramaphosa decides to give him a pardon. And bear in mind, that does come at huge political cost, because a lot of South Africans would like to see Mr. Zuma behind bars because he has been found guilty of being in contempt of court and refusing, Rebecca, to comply with the court order to go and answer questions about corruptions during his tenure.
Now, obviously, this happened late last night and in the early hours of this morning, so people will just be waking up to this news, or many people. How have people been reacting, though, so far?
Well, Rebecca, I would actually tell you that a lot of people stayed up because people were waiting for midnight to see what the police will do. I suppose people were expecting that the police would move in on him. So a lot of South Africans went to bed knowing that the former president is spending his first night in prison. So a lot of people are welcoming this as a victory for the rule of law, because it was starting to appear like Mr. Zuma had once again managed to evade the rule of law. And so a lot of people thrilled about the fact that the justice system has prevailed, that when a court gives a directive, that has to be followed, and it doesn't matter who you are. But of course, it is a sort of bittersweet moment here. I mean, we are talking about somebody who liberates this country. Mr. Zuma has spent time in jail fighting for this country's freedom. So some people are looking at this as a sad day for this democracy, that a former president, somebody who was so pivotal in bringing about democracy for this country, finds himself in a prison cell for being in contempt of court and disrespecting the institutions of this very democracy, Rebecca.
All right, Christine, thanks very much for that analysis. DW's Christine Mundwa in Durban.